Welcome back to the Vandy Sports Podcast. I'm Joey Dwyer here after Vanderbilt's 70-62 win over Alabama A&M. Vanderbilt ended the game on a 7-0 run, including 5 points from Jordan Wright, and a great last final minutes for Jordan Wright. Hit a nice timely three to put Vanderbilt up four, and then hit two free throws after getting a steal off of arguably Alabama A&M's best player to kind of seal it. Knocks down both free throws, and that's about it for this one. Vanderbilt didn't make this one easy for themselves, though, and they never really do. They did one of three games that I didn't cover. Chris got lucky to have that one, the Morehead State game, and that's actually probably a better team than some of the teams that they haven't made it easy against. But Vanderbilt just can't pull away, and that's characteristic of them. They make too many mistakes. They turn it over too much. Tonight, they only turned it over 12 times, but they didn't win the turnover battle. They shot way too many threes tonight and only hit them at a 23.5% clip. And tonight just felt like the frustration boiled over a little bit for them when Myles Stute got that flagrant after, I assume, unintentionally kicked the Alabama A&M defender. But at that point in the game, it's not completely far-fetched to say that maybe that was frustration boiling over. I'm going to give Stute the benefit of the doubt there. But yeah, that's kind of a synopsis of this one for Vanderbilt. I would love to say for them that this was uncharacteristic, and I'd love to give them the benefit of the doubt here, but it's not. I mean, they showed all the signs that they have in the past of not playing great basketball. They turned it over more than Alabama A&M, and Alabama A&M turns it over a whole heck of a lot, and you would expect that against a high major team. Maybe they turn it over a little more, but their guards just looked unfazed by Vanderbilt's guards, and some of the pressure they put on him. Ezra Manjon is really the one guy that I trust to force turnovers on Vanderbilt. And I don't know how much he did that tonight. One of Alabama A&M's guys turned over 4 times, but overall, just this team doesn't force turnovers at a high enough level. And when they take care of the ball enough, which has been the last 2 games, but hasn't been a consistent thing throughout the year, they just can't force enough to win the turnover battle anyway. So the turnovers, I didn't expect to be talking that much about it. I talk about it a lot with Lipscomb as well because they probably turn it over a lot more than Vanderbilt does, despite being a better overall offense. But Vanderbilt just can't win the turnover battle very often, and they didn't do it on a Saturday night, and then they also didn't do it tonight. So Vanderbilt was, I wouldn't say lucky to get a win because I think they did enough to win. I think they were probably the better team, but Alabama A&M looked like they belonged with them, and that probably shouldn't be the case. That's a team that was an 18-point underdog coming into this game, was Ken Palm's 330th ranked team in the country. You got to win that game, and you got to win it somewhat close to where the line is. Obviously, that doesn't matter a whole lot, but for it to be considered successful in my mind, I think you got to win this game by close to double digits at least. And I guess they did, but it didn't feel that way. It felt like this was a game that Alabama A&M could get with 3 minutes left in the game. And Alabama A&M is 3-7 heading into this game. They do have a win over Lipscomb, and they do have some markers of a team that's good. They have a 7-footer. They have 3 bigs that are over 6'10" and over 235. So it's not a pushover team like Alabama A&M's been in the past, but you just kind of think of that program. And I remember when some of our media went to the Lipscomb game there, they didn't have an SID to keep stats. There wasn't really a TV broadcast. It's a program that plays in kind of a wonky gym. Not really a school that Vanderbilt should be having trouble with, and they did tonight a little bit. But I will give Alabama A&M credit. I do think their guards are really good. Some of them probably could play significant minutes on Vanderbilt's roster, probably all 3 of those. All 3 of their kind of starting type guards could probably play big minutes for Vanderbilt. And they have a 7-footer and also a few other bigs who are physically imposing. So I don't think it's a complete pushover type of team, but it's one that Vanderbilt should have beat more. And Vanderbilt hasn't played well enough against a team like Southern Miss or Grambling State or even Wofford to really prove to me that this was because of Alabama A&M. It was because Vanderbilt just wasn't good enough to pull away tonight. And they showed all their flaws in this game, and just kind of shows where the program is. It's not to say that maybe they can't pull a few upsets in SEC play and those flaws will go away for a few nights, but these flaws are just consistently popping up over and over again. And I don't really know how you fix it. The turnovers offensively, I will give Stat credit. They have fixed those, and I think that's a positive sign, just that this team is moving the ball more intentionally. They're getting better shots, and even though they shot more threes than I would have liked tonight, or this afternoon, I guess, they get a lot of good looks from there, and most of the time, Myles Stute is not going to shoot as poorly as he did. Noah Shelby's probably going to knock down a few more if he takes 5 threes every game. I don't think he hits one. I think he hits probably 2 or 3 at least. But Vanderbilt shot just 23.5% from deep. They're going to shoot a lot better than that down the stretch, I think, even against SEC teams. But still, man, it's just not a lot of positive signs out of this one tonight, despite the win. What I will say is they rebounded the heck out of the ball tonight. 43 rebounds, 17 on the offensive glass, as opposed to 28 total rebounds for Alabama A&M, and that's a team that doesn't. That's a team that has some size. So I think that's something to be proud of for Vanderbilt, and I think that's part of the reason they won. And part of the reason they won was Liam Robbins and Colin Smith. Colin Smith, I wrote about, only had 7 points, but was certainly a bright spot in this game and has been a bright spot in Vanderbilt's darkest moments throughout the year. Had 7 points tonight. Their first 4 of the night, shot 50% from the field, got to the line a couple times, had 3 offensive rebounds, and I think he has tremendous value on the glass. He just brings so much energy and is a guy that Vanderbilt can certainly use in the future. I don't know if he's a Darius Garland or a Saban Lee type of guy, although they play different positions. I don't know if he's at that level. But man, can this guy play? And this guy has shown signs of potentially being an excellent player in the future. That post fadeaway off the mismatch was really nice. Hit an open 3, and it's just a guy that has a ton of energy and a ton of positive energy for this team, which I think they'll need. Maybe a guy who can be a leader, maybe not as vocal as some of the leaders that you think of, but it's a guy who can probably lead by example in terms of the energy. And maybe when he's older, Vanderbilt won't come out flat like they have at some points throughout the year. Only 14 minutes for him today, but 7 points, 3 offensive rebounds is really impressive for a freshman, especially only a 6'8" freshman who's not really playing on the block a whole lot. So a lot to like from Colin Smith tonight, and a lot to like from Liam Robbins as well, who had 14 points in 15 minutes, 4 for 8 from the field. And I don't know if Vanderbilt wins this game without Liam Robbins. He had 9 rebounds, was really the catalyst on the glass for them. Myles Stute also had 6, but Robbins had 2 blocks as well. And even in 15 minutes, it felt like he was their best player, and he keeps cementing his case for that. He had a plus 13 plus minus, and I don't normally use that, but Stack started QMB tonight, and his plus minus was -5. Robbins was positive 13. That kind of just shows you Vanderbilt is so much better when Liam Robbins is the guy. That's not a slight at Quentin Malloy-Brown. It's just Liam Robbins is the guy for Vanderbilt to me, and probably their most desirable transfer candidate. If you were to pick a guy that you would want on your team, you pick Liam Robbins. He's got the shot blocking ability. He's a scorer. He can step out a little bit, which he hasn't shown a whole lot this year. He's shooting a little under 20% now on the year, which you don't love to see, but he knocked down his free throws, and I think that's a thing that can translate into better three-point shooting throughout the year. I'd bet he finishes at least above 20%, I'm sure. But just an interesting night for Vanderbilt, especially with the rotations. Robbins only played 15 minutes. Malloy-Brown played 25, and I don't really know what's up with that. I didn't get to talk to Stack tonight because I'm at home. I don't think anybody talked to Stack tonight. I think everybody's out of town. But, man, that was an interesting decision. Maybe Stack knew that we weren't going to ask him about that, so he kind of just went with it. I doubt it. But Stack has kind of talked about throughout the year that he wants his defense to set the tone throughout the early part of the game, and you can see kind of why he started Colin Smith there. And I guess Malloy-Brown to an extent, that's another energy guy, but Robbins is your shot blocker, and I think he should probably be starting every game despite kind of how you want to set the tone. And Robbins played not enough minutes tonight. Noah Shelby checked in the game before Liam Robbins did, and I think that's really telling of kind of the wacky rotation that Vanderbilt had tonight. But all in all, Vanderbilt won the game. It doesn't show a whole lot of positive signs, but Vanderbilt avoids a quad 4 loss on their resume. You would think that Jerry Stackhouse and company are happy enough about tonight. Probably not as happy as they would have been if they had covered that 18-point spread. I hate to bring up the spread, but it's just kind of a good reference point as to where Alabama A&M is a program. But yeah, this is just kind of another underwhelming game. I thought Alabama A&M had a legitimate shot going in this game, and they did. They were a really solid opponent for Vanderbilt, and were right there with Vanderbilt throughout the night. It took a few runs from Vanderbilt. Emmanuel Ansong had a really nice stretch there, probably his best stretch of basketball at Vanderbilt. That's a guy I was hoping to see a little bit more from as we headed into the year. I knew he wasn't going to be like a double-digit scorer or anything, but that's a guy who can catch and shoot a little bit. He shot 2 for 3 from 3 tonight. One of them was a heat check, but that's a dirty work, scrappy type of guy who can rebound. And Stack said early in the year, maybe before the season, that that's a guy once he gets on the floor, it's hard to take him off. And it was interesting tonight that he played 16 minutes because it felt like he wasn't on the floor for that long, but made an impact of a 16-minute per game guy. So I wonder if he's earned some more playing time as they head into Southeastern Louisiana after Christmas break. But the encouraging thing to me is that Vanderbilt's not going to shoot 23.5% from 3 every night. They probably also aren't going to shoot as well as they did from the line tonight, shot almost 80%, 18 for 23. But Myles Stute's not going to shoot 1 for 8. Noah Shelby's not going to shoot 1 for 5. Trey Thomas isn't going to shoot 1 for 6 from 3. Robbins is probably going to hit a few. Wright, I think, was about par with 2 for 5. But I think this team is a little bit better shooting-wise than they've let on. I think you'll probably see a few games from them this year where they really break out and just are on fire. It doesn't seem the season's going that way, especially with the crowd they had today. It was listed at over 5,000. I'm not sure I believe that, but it did get a little bit loud in there at the end. I think tonight was just kind of a microcosm of where the program is this year. And I wouldn't say it's the state of the program just because everybody can have a down year, but right now it's just a team that really can't beat anybody by a whole lot, or hasn't shown they can at least. I think they maybe could beat Southeastern Louisiana by a good bit, but they just haven't shown that yet, and the gym wasn't packed. They didn't really have a breakout performance from any of their guys. Jordan Wright had a really nice stretch at the end there. Liam Robbins had a nice night. Ezra Manjon, I didn't bring him up yet, but he had a really nice night as well. Had a really nice stretch also to keep Vanderbilt's head above water. Give him a lot of credit. I really like him as a player. Just think he does so much that's valuable to Vanderbilt, but he's still getting settled. And I think once they play high major competition more consistently, he can maybe be more of a consistent contributor. I think the biggest thing for him is just getting momentum as they head into the new season next year. He has another year eligibility, and he's slated to be their starting point guard next year. So he has to kind of be that guy who can go into the season next year as the guy, and has to be a guy who is their alpha, is the head of the snake, maybe not in terms of scoring, but just in terms of starting the chain of events and everything. And we've seen flashes of that. I saw they hedged a screen on him, and the guy came out, he just turned the corner quickly on him. And that's what he can do. He hasn't done that incredibly consistently, and when he has, guys haven't knocked down shots, but I think there's a lot more in the tank for him. Tyrin Lawrence as well. I think there's a lot more in the tank for. He's shown a lot of positive signs this year, but overall, Vandy didn't have enough to beat an SEC team tonight, but they had enough to win the game they had to win today. And I think maybe that's the most important thing. I think probably the future signs are probably a little more important, but Vanderbilt did enough to win today, and maybe not the main story, but certainly a story that Stackhouse and company like. So Vanderbilt will move to Southeastern Louisiana at home on December 30th. I'll still be at home for that in South Carolina, but I'll probably be in Knoxville for their first SEC road game. Really looking forward to that. And yeah, this should be a interesting stretch here. I wouldn't say Stackhouse is completely gone yet, but if they end the season with Memorial Gymnasium looking like it did today, and they end the season with only a few SEC wins, it's going to be harder and harder to make a case for him. Although I do think he has a real case at the moment, just because this is his first real down year since he started to get the program going again. But man, interesting night for Vanderbilt. Can't say it was fully unexpected, but a lot more to come, a lot more basketball to be played. It's their last game before Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everybody. Probably won't be on here again before then, so I appreciate you guys watching. Very thankful for everything, all the opportunities Chris has given me. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll be back on the 30th with another post game and some more articles. Read the article at vandysports.com for more on tonight's game. Follow me on Twitter at Joey_DWY. for more Vanderbilt basketball content and I guess some Lipscomb stuff in there too. Much happier tone after Lipscomb beat Louisville a few nights ago than Vanderbilt beating Alabama A&M, but an interesting game for Vanderbilt nonetheless, and they moved to 500 and 4-3 at Memorial Gymnasium. Thank you guys for watching. God bless. Merry Christmas. Peace.